All right, everybody, welcome to North of the Six. We are here for episode 1, and we are excited to get things going here. My name is Brad. This is Mike.
Hey, virtual world. How's everyone doing? Welcome to the podcast /video /live discussion. Probably asking why North of the Six. Well, we're going to give a Toronto perspective, a little bit north of the city, up in the beautiful city of Barrie, Ontario. We'll be talking mostly Toronto sports. But like we mentioned in our previous, we'll also be talking MLB, NBA, NFL. So lots to talk about, especially in this first action-packed episode.
So going on to category 1, the biggest one that probably a lot of you are curious about right now is the state of the Toronto Raptors. You know, they're on a massive losing skid right now, probably the longest one we've seen in years, probably 7 or 8 years now. And biggest question we're getting asked right now is number 1 being, do the Raptors buy, sell, or stay stagnant at the trade deadline? And I'm going to let Mike take this one first.
It's a tough question, and as a diehard Raptors fan, it's kind of a tough pill to swallow with where they're at right now. And sadly for me, the time has come to sell, and it pains me to say that. You know, this team hasn't missed the playoffs since 2013, but with the state they're in right now, losing 7 in a row, getting guys slowly back from COVID. I think the time's come where you need to sell and you need to move on from a guy like Kyle Lowry, who's been the best Raptor in franchise history.
Yeah, you know what? This is a debate show, but on this topic, I have to agree with him on this one. The more I thought about this, I think it's time that the Raptors have to sell. You know, they had an amazing, incredible run, go in the playoffs. I think it was 6 straight years, winning an NBA championship 2019. You know, Masai Ujiri rolled the dice, brought in guys like Kawhi Leonard, Danny Green, Marc Gasol, and it paid off with the championship. And now, due to unforeseen circumstances and a little bit of bad luck, they're falling out of the playoff picture. And, with expiring contract in Kyle Lowry and Norman Powell coming up, and with the way he's been playing, I think they could get a massive return on this. So it pains me to say, because Kyle Lowry, is Mr. Toronto Raptor, but I think they got to move on and try to get some draft capital back.
Yeah, with the way the roster is set up right now, I think they're a first-round exit, to be honest, anyway, if they even do squeak into a playoff spot. I just look at the roster as a whole, and they don't have that guy. They don't have the Kawhi, obviously, that they had a few seasons ago. They just don't have that number 1 option that can get them through the tough games when the shooting's not going so well, where the defense is struggling. I look at guys like Pascal Siakam, even Fred VanVleet. Fred shooting under 40% from the field, it's just not going to cut it for a guard, especially playoff time when you're looking for some clutch shooting, 3-point shooting. Can guys get streaky and make some shots? And I just look at some of these numbers, and it just, to me, it's not going to result in much more than a maybe squeaking by in the first round.
Yeah, and but you do look at the recent play of Norman Powell. He's really stepped up his game. He's trying to do what he can to keep this team competitive, and he's averaging almost 20 points per game right now. He's shooting 45% from 3, almost 50% from the field, and presently in the high 80s in the free throw percentage. So with that being said, I think he could fetch a decent return for this team, and again, it pains me to say, but I think they really got to investigate what they could get back for a player like that.
Yeah, and everyone's been talking about Lowry. Where might he go? What could you get for him? A lot of links to Philly, going back home, right? Where he's from. He's got roots there. But you've mentioned Norm Powell. Norm Powell's value has gone through the roof in the last 2-3 weeks. You mentioned his numbers. They're almost shooting 45% from 3. He's been solid. He's kind of filled in that number 1 role in the last little while when he's been missing guys like OG and Fred and Pascal. You're right. I think he's really going to fetch a really, really, really nice return. I could see a first rounder and maybe some sort of mid-tier prospect for Norman Powell.
Yeah, and you got to remember too, as most fans likely know, his contract too. The way his cap hit right now, oh my gosh, I think there'll be teams lining up to acquire his services. So with that being said, we agree on this one. I think it's just time that they have to be sellers. Let us know in the comments below, or reach out to our social media channels what you think. But we've concluded that the Raptors should be sellers at this point. I think they'll be better off in the future with that. So question 2 we've got here, we're going to shift over to the NFL a little bit. There's been a ton of activity in NFL free agency. Lots of dollars being handed out right now. And we're going to go AFC today. We're going to look at where teams stand after a crazy week of free agency. And we're going to quickly go over who we think are our winners and losers of free agency in the AFC.
AFC winners. I'm going to start with one, and it's going to, again, pay me to say it because I'm a Steeler fan, but I would have to give a winning nod to the Browns. You talk about the offense, Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, guys like Jarvis Landry, Odell, obviously with a significant injury last year, but very talented, strong offensive line. But no one really talks a whole lot about their defense. And they went out and signed John Johnson from the Rams. He's going to really fill that secondary in nicely with, guys like Denzel Ward and these other guys, Myles Garrett on defense. That's going to be a really explosive defense. And, a lot of people are picking the Browns to finish first in the North this year.
Well, I respectfully disagree with you. You being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, me being a Baltimore Ravens fan, yes, fans, we are fans of rival teams. I'm not going to go with the Cleveland Browns, but I'm going to go with another team that it pains me to say as well, but I think it's definitely the New England Patriots. My Lord, you see what they've done in free agency. Never thought in my life Bill Belichick would have spent the money that he's done for this franchise. I think it's the most money that's been spent in 8 or 9 years in NFL free agency, but my Lord, he brought in Matthew Judon at the linebacker, brought in a pair of tight ends with Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. Like, are you kidding me? Looking to recapture the magic, I guess, from back in the glory days when they had Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez. They've also improved their wide receiver depth with Nelson Aguilar, and they made some other big signings too, just to fill out the roster. I believe they brought in Kyle Van Noy back at linebacker as well. And with the state of the AFC East right now, we know the Jets are just an absolute mess. And with the Miami Dolphins, I'm sorry, but Tua as your quarterback, I still don't believe in them. And so I think they can potentially challenge the Buffalo Bills again. And I think, the Buffalo Bills probably don't want to hear that after going through 20 years of suffering with Tom Brady at the helm. But I think Bill Belichick has a mission on his mind, and especially after seeing Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks win the Super Bowl last year, I think he's going, you know what, I'm still relevant in this league. I had a 7-9 team last year, and I'm going to bring this baby back.
I'll give the Patriots some credit. You mentioned some guys they signed. Nelson Aguilar, very sneaky signing. He's going to be a good receiver for them. They could have gone out and got Jerry Rice in his prime and cloned him 6 times. You know who's still throwing them the ball? Cam No-Arm Newton. The guy was horrendous last year.
What do you got against Cam Newton? He had nobody to throw the ball to last year. He's got weapons now.
He has no shoulder left. You look at the guy who, again, could run the ball in his early years, had a cannon, had some talented receivers in Carolina, but you see the last couple of years, major shoulder injuries, the running game, not what it used to be. His legs aren't what they used to be. You're going to see that from Lamar Jackson in the next couple of years. Same effect's going to happen. You lose your legs, you become more one-dimensional, that's what Cam Newton is right now.
The man ran for 12 touchdowns last year on a 7-9 Patriots team with no weapons. What do you think he's going to do this year?
All those rushing touchdowns from the 1-yard line. Wow, I could do that. Give me a decent offensive line, I'll stumble in.
Give me a break. So he's signed to a 1-year deal too. He's in another prove-it situation. You think he's not going to give it his all this year? You think he's going to?
Oh, he'll give it his all, but his all is not that great.
You think?
It's.
How many years does Cam Newton have left? You just mentioned his health. Fine, good point. But with that being said, he's going to try to want to win. He's under the pressure now of trying to live up to the shadow of Tom Brady. And with that being said, I believe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are coming back to New England this year. When the NFL schedule comes out later, the Buccaneers will visit the Patriots at Gillette Stadium. You think Cam's going to want to let Tom Brady come in there and do some damage? I think he's going to be more motivated than ever.
Again, he can do all you want and wishes all you want and pray and talk to Bill Belichick all you want. The fact remains that he doesn't have the arm strength He's had major surgeries in the last couple of years. There's a reason Carolina shipped him out. And you know what? I give him maybe half the year in New England as a starter this year.
I bet you they go 10-6 this year and get in as a wild card. I would bet you that right now. I'll bet you a case.
I would happily take that bet.
Oh,
you know, I see them probably 8-8.
8-8
this season.
Okay,
yeah.
We've got a bet. There it is, folks. We've got one official bet in for the year. So
virtual handshake,
yeah, in the new digital world. So moving quickly to free agency losers, I'll keep this quick. I think it's the Houston Texans. I mean, my God, like what are they doing down there? What are they doing? Now you've got this situation with Deshaun Watson. I won't get into it too much, but there's been lawsuits against him right now due to just unforeseen circumstances. Terrible what's going on down there, and with JJ Watt, requesting to leave, they let him go. He ended up signing a deal with Arizona. I don't know what they're doing with Will Fuller. I don't know what that team is doing. So I was going to go Denver Broncos, but I thought, no, Houston Texans.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you. And the situation in Houston has been a complete dumpster fire, right? It is a sinking ship that very few are still hanging on to. I think at this point they'd rather just give up and drown instead of trying to stay on the ship, right? That's what it's come to in Houston. And I could agree with you all day about that one. I'm going to focus on my team, Pittsburgh Steelers in the AFC North, as losers. I like the Juju deal. I do. I really do. A lot of people bashing him for his on-field dancing on logos, his TikTok game, more important than his wide receiver game. I get all that. But to bring him back one more year, lining up with pretty much what Ben has left, you kind of run it one more time with that offense. You still have a really talented receiver core. But I'm looking strictly on the defensive side with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've lost 4 starters in Vince Williams, Tyson Alualu. Even throwing Mike Hilton as a borderline starter. And then they cut a guy, to save cap, right? And that's just kind of what the situation's come to in Pittsburgh. And I get the fact that Kevin Colbert, the GM there, has drafted well in the past. But now you have to fill multiple spots on that defense, and they didn't address any of that in free agency.
Yeah, I can see your point on that one. The AFC North is getting tough even with a healthy Joe Burrow coming back. It's hard to say right now, right? You know what? Well, we'll have to discuss this again later once the draft concludes, and we'll look at the.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the draft a lot, and just to kind of see what direction they're heading in, especially my Steelers. What's the focus going to be? Your Ravens have some question marks as well, so we'll definitely get into more on that. Going to focus next on a little baseball talk. And we're going to focus on the Jays specifically. You'll hear us talk a lot about the Jays, especially it's a hot time right now. About halfway through spring training, the regular season's coming up in about 10 days, so exciting times if you're a Blue Jays fan. The question really is, how good can this offense be? Can it rival the offense of 2015 and 2016? You looked at 2015, you had guys, Encarnacion, Bautista, Tulowitzki, Donaldson, MVP, Russell Martin, hit for average and power that year as a catcher, and like the 8-hole in that lineup. Can this offense be as good as those playoff seasons, 2015 and 2016?
Yeah, so that offense was historic. Yeah, they came up short in the playoffs, but 2015-16, that stadium was rocking, and certainly some power in that lineup. This year's team, I believe, certainly has the potential. You look at Vladimir Guerrero Jr. right now. Wow, what a spring he's having right now. Last I checked, he was hitting, I think it was over 500. It may have changed now, but just unbelievable right now. And the big question mark I'm asking, and well, not necessarily asking, but addressing, is their ability to draw walks. Now, I know going little, I might be like, people might be thinking, oh, come on, Brad, the home run ball can make up for that. But, they're a tough AL East, and, when it's come playoff time, it's pitching gets tighter, defensive schemes gets tighter, and sometimes it comes down to one-run games, right? And, you see a guy like Kevin Biggio, who has a proven ability to get on base, got an amazing eye. But the rest of the lineup, at least from what we saw last year, they could hit the ball while smacking around for doubles and home runs. but still lacked plate discipline. So that'd be my biggest concern with that. But I think the addition of George Springer will certainly help with that. I think he's going to be the leadoff guy. If you have guys like Lourdes Gurriel Jr. that can take steps to the next level, if Bo Bichette can improve his game, I think they can certainly take that step. So are they equivalent to the 2015 team? I'm going to say right now, ask me again in a few weeks.
Yeah, it's tough to answer right now. I think Shapiro and Atkins, you mentioned, getting on base. I think they've kind of shifted that focus with that offense, focusing on guys more that can get on base. It's the old Billy Bean Moneyball. Everyone's seen the movie with Brad Pitt. Focus on base percentage. I don't care if he can hit 40 home runs. Can he get on base? So I think long gone are the days of JP Arancibia and Kevin Pillar, guys like that with very, very poor, plate discipline. As I used to say, death, taxes, and Kevin Pillar chasing an 0-2 curveball in the dirt were pretty much the only given things in life. So I think the focus is away from that. And I think they're really putting an emphasis on plate discipline, plate vision. You look at a guy like a Teoscar Hernandez, who, again, broke out in 50 games last year. But over a full season, what are his numbers going to look like? And I kind of look at that disparity, or the difference, the gap, as you will, between the average and the on base, right? If a guy's hitting 260, but his on base is about 330, I consider that above average. That's pretty good. It's about a 70-point gap between average and on base. So I look at that number a lot. Can he hit for average, but also does he have that plate discipline? You mentioned a guy like Javi Biggio. Again, he might hit 250 average, but his on base is usually more than 100 points more than his batting average. So he's usually in that 360 to 370 range. You mentioned Vladdy looking amazing this spring, hitting for power and getting on base as well. So I feel like, the power, the pure power from 2015 might not quite be there. But I think overall as an offense, they're more well-rounded, and I think they can exceed some of the numbers from 2015 and 2016.
So early prediction, how many wins do you see at this point today? How many wins do you see? If assuming we play 162 games, just throw me a number.
With the questions and the rotation, which we'll talk about, later on, I would put them about 86 wins. I think they're being overvalued a little bit right now in terms of, pushing the Yankees for the division. I just don't feel like the offense is quite there yet, and the rotation's lacking depth. So I'd say about 86 and 76.
Okay, yeah, I've got them at the 83 win mark, but we'll see what happens, and we'll see how the lineup looks, and hopefully the injury gods stay on their side, and come opening day, we can see what this lineup's all about.
Thanks for tuning in to North of the Six. If you want to hear more discussion, arguments, and basement banter,
be sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube or follow us on our social channels. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks for tuning in.